Hello there everyone, once again at YouTube. I am here today to bring you a new review, not my Zelda review, sorry about that. It's going to take me a while to do that one, just because I want to do some extra things with it, and yeah. So, let's get right into my review of the new movie, Alien Covenant. Alien Covenant is, in fact, a sequel to the 2012 film Prometheus, in case you haven't seen it. It's a pretty interesting film. I recommend you actually go and watch that. I enjoyed the film when it first came out. I know a lot of people did not, and yeah, I enjoyed that film. And I never had seen an Alien movie before I had seen Prometheus, so I didn't even realize it was a prequel to Alien until I saw a Xenomorph right at the friggin' end of it. So there you go. But let's get into this movie. This movie is about a group of colonists who are traveling through space to go to this planet that is Earth-like in nature, that is close to them, so that they can colonize it and basically make another Earth. The movie actually opens up though on David, the android. In case you haven't seen Prometheus, was the android in Prometheus, which is David, who is played by Michael Fassbender. And it shows basically him, like, waking up from being created for the first time, and Guy Pearce being there as Wayland. I can't remember his entire name. As Wayland. You know Wayland. You know Wayland Industries if you've seen any Alien film up to this point. And basically seeing his creator and basically wondering about life and everything, and and knowing he was created by this guy, but who created him, and everything like that. And it's really kind of an interesting scene. And then we get into the beginning of the film, and the first act is fairly good. It's basically them waking up from cryosleep. James Franco's there for 2 seconds, and then he dies. I mean, that's kind of a spoiler, but it happens right at the beginning of the movie, so whatever. But basically, they wake up from cryosleep. All of the entire crew, not all the colonists, that would be kind of ridiculous. They wake up from cryosleep because of a neutrino burst, I guess that's what they call it. Screws with the ship, ends up killing a few colonists, and kills James Franco as well. And they have to go and repair this little shield that recharges the station, apparently. I don't know exactly how that works. When Danny McBride's character gets a message in his spacesuit, and they decide, and they see that the message is coming from this planet really close to them that also has a lot of Earth-like qualities to it, and that maybe they could just go there instead. And since it's much closer than the other planet, they decide to go there, and that's basically when the shit hits the fan, more or less. And It's really interesting, the first act. I enjoyed the first act quite a bit. It builds up the suspense, it builds up the tension, and you're just waiting for it to happen. And then when the first thing happens, I was honestly on the edge of my seat, and I was like, oh man, here we go, here we go. And then all of a sudden, it got really, really stupid really fast. It almost was reminding me of Alien vs. Predator again, where characters are just really stupid, and they're just so dumb, and I was like, what is happening? But honestly, I almost added to the enjoyment factor of it. I've seen this movie twice now, and I still don't understand some of the choices for actual things that happen in this movie. I still don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me. And in all honesty, the worst part I have about this movie is the Xenomorph itself. I think the Xenomorph holds it down from being an actual movie on its own merit, because it's an Alien movie. It's an Alien movie, and they have to show Xenomorphs now because it's an Alien movie, and none of it makes sense. And at the same time, none of it really needs to be there. You don't really need to know how the Xenomorph was made. Why do we care why the Xenomorph was made? We know that it's there, and that was the biggest appeal of Alien, was not exactly knowing what this alien creature was. You didn't know anything about it, and so that's why the suspense is built like extremely high, because you don't know much about it. But in this film, it's ruined by that because you know what the Xenomorph is now, and you also really don't care how the Xenomorph was made, because that's not the interesting thing about it. The interesting thing is seeing people trying to survive and combat it in some way, almost, most of the time. But the thing I think this movie really failed on was trying to present the Xenomorph in a scary way, because any time the Xenomorph was on screen, I wasn't entirely frightened by it, because the CG, first of all, made it look kind of ridiculous. And that's another problem I'm going to get to in a second here, but CG just made it kind of ridiculous, and you couldn't really you couldn't really feel the weight of the situation, because this Xenomorph looks like the stupidest thing ever created. And you know, since we're on that topic, let's talk about the CG in this movie, because it has to be some of the worst CG I've seen in a modern film. Like, you shouldn't have bad CG in your movies anymore. It's almost getting to the point where you can make it really realistic now. So, when I'm seeing CG that looks like the worst stuff ever, especially in a frickin' Alien movie, I'm really getting pulled out of it. And I'm like, that looks so fake, I can't even believe they would actually put that on screen. It doesn't look good. And then there's this one part where another alien's being born, as you know how an alien is born already, and it looks so stupid, and there's this shitty music playing over it that's so inappropriate for the scene and makes no sense, and it's just ridiculous. Yeah, the CG in this movie is really bad at some points. There's some good CG, of course, like some of the landscape shots and some of that, like the ships themselves, the storms they go through on the planet, all look great, but some of it just looks awful, and I could not get over that the entire runtime of this movie. And now I have to get into talking about the characters of this movie. Let's see, I guess Danny McBride didn't do a bad job as his character, who is the pilot of this ship. I can't remember the girl's name who plays the main character, but I guess she did an okay job. She literally just becomes Ripley by the end of it, and it almost doesn't make sense with her character in some ways, you know. I almost didn't understand it. Let's see, who else? Billy Crudup, I guess, did an okay job too. He was fine in the movie. And other than that, oh, okay, sorry, yeah, Michael Fassbender did a fantastic job, because he plays two different androids in this movie, with different accents and different personalities, and he did a bang-up job, and I'm not surprised by that, because he's Michael Fassbender, and he's a pretty good actor, in case you don't know. Yeah, he did a fairly good job. Honestly, the scenes with him, everything he was in this movie, he sold every scene he was in. He was the best part about this movie, like he was the best part about Prometheus, to be honest. Yeah, and he plays a crazy android fairly well, and a sensible android very well as well. I mean, I just honestly thought Michael Fassbender did a great job in this movie in the roles he was given. But other than that, everyone did a terrible job. Or I guess I shouldn't say they did a terrible job, but there was nothing to the characters in this movie. You did not care about a single person besides these people I just mentioned. You don't care at all. None of them are great characters. They are all just written in there to die. They are all there just to die in the movie. They're not even there to have a character whatsoever. And it really, really just didn't work for me at all. And I thought that was the worst. That is probably my least favorite part about this movie. And I know it's hard to make a good compelling characters but when you only have, like, 6 or 7 characters in the original Alien, as composed to the, at least a dozen people in this movie, you don't even care, man. And it just takes you out of the experience when all these people are dying, and you're just like, who was that? Do we even know who that person was? And it's just ridiculous, you know? So I'm getting into spoilers. Since YouTube is awful and took away annotations, I'm going to have to actually do it in my video editor, and it's not exactly the best at doing exact times. So it should be down here, more or less, hopefully, somewhere around there. And it should be there, and hopefully you guys can see that, and you'll just go to that part of the video, since I can't just link the correct time in the video to an annotation now, because YouTube is the worst sometimes. So, without further ado, we're going to get right into spoilers. So, first thing I want to talk about, David the android from Prometheus. Michael Fassbender, again, plays him well, and just, like, these scenes with him were interesting, because he's an android who has thought. He has the ability to create. And the interesting thing about it is that he's going crazy, basically. He's gone crazy with wanting to create stuff, and has lost a lot of the abilities of, like, smartness that an android usually has, because he's so absorbed in this. And he did a fantastic job in the movie. All the scenes with him were brilliant, and he just was a very good, well-made villain for the movie. A much better villain than the frickin' Xenomorph was. So, yeah, I mean, he did a really good job, and I have to applaud him for that. Another thing I have to talk about is the final, about, 30 minutes of this movie, maybe more like 20 minutes of this movie, which literally just decides to do Alien, and you gotta shoot the alien out of the airlock, because that's the only way to kill it. We have no guns that we can use to kill it, because if we use guns, we're probably going to be stupid like that character from before, who blows up the lander by shooting. Okay, I'm going to talk about that in a second. But yeah, I mean, the movie just literally becomes Alien for the last 20 minutes of it. And it's not suspenseful. I didn't care at all. I was just like, okay, can the movie just be done now, please? Let's get on with it, come on. Oh, man. In reference to what I was talking about earlier now, there is a scene at the very beginning when the aliens when Xenomorph first pops out of this guy's back because of some weird plant that went into his ear, and then that created a Xenomorph somehow. I don't know how that works, but I don't really care. And the Xenomorph's chasing her around on this lander they used to land on the planet and explore it. And she takes out a shotgun, and she's like a really smart character, because she wants to get this person into quarantine to make sure he doesn't infect the entire ship. And then she gets blood on her face, and then runs out of the room, and then locks this girl in the room because she has to contain the infection when she just got blood on her face. And it's like, what? And then, of course, I mean, she starts doing really stupid stuff. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how most people would react in that situation, but she just grabs a shotgun and starts shooting at the alien literally everywhere. And it's like, why are you just shooting everywhere? Then she blows up the ship, of course, killing everyone inside, including herself. And it's probably the most ridiculous scene in the movie. Honestly, there's some weird stuff in this movie that just makes no sense, and it almost made me think this was like some sort of horror comedy type of thing. Which it's not. It's not meant to be that way at all, but it just comes off that way and makes the movie even more hilarious because of it. Yeah, and then I gotta say, some of the Xenomorph stuff, again, just did not stick at all. I'm so disappointed in it, and yeah. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry to disappoint you, but that's just how I feel about it. All in all, guys, I have to say Alien Covenant was kind of disappointing, to be honest with you. I'm a huge fan of the Alien franchise. You guys know one of my favorite horror movies is Alien. I did an entire review on that and how much I love it. It's probably one of the best space horror movies I've ever seen in my life. This movie just came off as almost pandering in a sense. The Xenomorph just feels like a gimmick at this point, to just be like, hey, it's Alien. That's why I think I like Prometheus a little bit better, is because they don't really deal with aliens or Xenomorphs at all until maybe the very end of it, because they need to set it up for a sequel, of course. And yeah, it just comes off as kind of ridiculous, and to be honest, Alien Covenant was very disappointing, guys. I'm sorry to say that, and I mean, if you're a big Alien fan, you're gonna want to see this, if unless you haven't seen it anyway. Unless you've seen it already anyway, I mean. And, I mean, if you're an Alien fan, you've already seen this. If you're just looking for a very good space / extraterrestrial horror movie, watch the original Alien, or better yet, go and, if you have the ability to, play Alien Isolation, the horror game that came out about 2 years ago, which is more alien than this movie is. So, and it's probably one of the best horror games I've ever played in my life. So go check that out and play it, because it's amazing. And with that, guys, Alien Covenant, again, very average, very whatever. I mean, if it didn't have Xenomorphs, I wonder if it would have worked better, but I have no idea, to be honest with you. So that's why I have to say, guys, that Alien Covenant is worth watching in theaters. Well, guys, that is my review of Alien Covenant. I really hope you enjoyed it. And again, I would recommend you guys go out and watch it if you're just looking for a fun time type of thing and just want to watch an Alien movie, unless you are an Alien fan who's watched it already. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, sorry I don't get reviews up too much. I've been working a lot lately now because I gotta make money and I gotta do all this crap that I don't want to do. And it kind of sucks, but at the same time, this is a very good thing that I'm doing videos again, because I really need to get back onto doing this. And with that, guys, thanks again, once again, so much for watching, and I will see you in the next review. Bye.